Watch this guy. There is nothing wrong with his crosshair, nothing wrong with his timing. He's dead in 2 seconds, and his aim is not the reason. So what killed him? He walked into the ground that was not his yet. You have lost the round 100 times, and every time you blame your aim. Put me platinum with 0 mechanical skill and I will still win games. And it will not be because I'm talented, it will be because I understand space and I know how to use it. And in Valorant, space is more than the ground you stand on, space is information. So today I'm going to show you exactly how I read the map every single round. I will show you which ground I take, which ground I give away, and how deep I play when I'm defending. My name is Daniel, I picked 8th round Terra Radiant, I played in the Valorant Challenges League and I have coached over 100 players. Out of those 100, this was the most common gap I found. It was bigger problem than aim almost every time. And before someone says it matters more in low elo, let me stop you right there. It actually doesn't. It matters more in Radiant. The difference between low elo and Radiant is simple. In low elo, they let your mistakes go. In Radiant, they punish them instantly. So let's get back to the death for a second. He died because he treated the ground like he already owned it. He did not. So here's the first thing to learn. Not every piece of ground is the same, and you cannot treat it the same way. There are 3 states of ground. Let's start from the first one, which is controlled. This is the ground you own. For example, the site at the start of defense, or your spawn. This is ground where you can walk with your knife out and feel safe. Then we have neutral ground, which is ground that nobody owns yet. For example, Heaven mid or B main on Ascent. That ground is empty at the start of the round, and whoever claims it gets the pivot point of the map. I will show you what a pivot point is worth in a second. Last one, we have contested. This is ground that both teams want to take right now, but nobody has it yet. This is where most players die for nothing, because they walk into this ground like it's already theirs. You cannot choose how to take the ground until you know what state it is in. If the ground is neutral, most of the time you just walk and take it. If the ground is contested, it costs you utility or your life. So getting back to what is a pivot point is actually a spot that allows your team to rotate faster than the enemy can. That is why the first 15 seconds matter more than people think. Whoever has the pivot point controls the rotations for the whole round. Here's an example to make you understand it better. Let's take B main on Ascent. From there, as defenders, you get a deep line of sight, and you get information fast. So this allows you to rotate your B players to A. The enemies will actually commit to A, and they're gonna find 3 to 4 people there. The attackers might think that it was luck, but it wasn't. The real reason is that you had more map control than they did. And one important thing that people miss is that the ground state changes during the round. The same entrance is neutral at 0 seconds, it is contested at 15, and by 30 seconds it is somebody controlled ground. So not only you need to read the map once at the start of the round, you have to read and adapt to it the whole time. Now we can finally name what is what, but knowing is not taking. So there are actually 3 ways to take the ground. Most players only ever use one of them, and usually it's the worst one. So the first way is the body. This is the rawest way. There are 2 versions of it and they are not the same thing at all. The first version is the jump pick, which is the most safest version. When you jump pick, you're not taking the ground, you're just taking the information instead. You see what is there and you do not risk your life for it. This is what we call visual space. And if you wonder how to jump pick, I'll leave a video that explains every type of picking in the description. Now the second version is a little bit more risky, which is dry swinging. When you dry swing, you're doing it at high risk because a dry swing is what you use when you have nothing left. It is not what you do when the round starts. The best thing you can do here is double pick with a teammate. You pick all at the same time, but one player swings wide and the other swings tight to the wall. This works because the enemy has to choose. His crosshair goes to the wide player or the tight player, and it cannot be both. So worst case scenario, only one of you dies. The second way you can take space is abilities. This is how you force people off contested ground without ever putting your body in front of a bullet. This is the way I use most. For example, you throw a raise nade into A main on Lotus, so that attackers cannot pick out. Or you use a Phoenix Flash in A main on Ascent. These abilities allow you to take the ground easy, because I'm using them exactly what they were made for. So this part is where the initiators actually do their work, because their abilities help you contest the space, so your team does not have to dry swing it. The third and last way is presence and denial. A chop in your flank means that you own that flank until the trap breaks. This is real ground and it costs you 0 bodies. A smoke does the same thing, it deletes a line of sight for a few seconds. The enemy have either to respect that smoke or they will walk through it blind. Both of those are good for you. Here are 2 examples so we can understand this better. You put a smoke down to pressure rubble on Lotus. Now, the defenders do not know if someone got through, so they cannot hold that ground properly anymore. Or you put a smoke on A long on Heaven. That smoke casts all the information from the A long player. He's now scared that someone is short, and that fear alone can make the defenders rotate to A. This is where sentinels and controllers do the real work. They hold the ground from the start of the round and they cover your team's back when you attack. At Radiant, I use this third way as much as I can because it is the only one that gains you ground without spending almost anything for it. Quick thing, if you have been grinding without climbing, this is a structure problem, not an effort problem. That is what we fix at Melu 6. You send us a ranked VOD, we watch it before the call, and we build a program around how you actually play. Spots are limited, link is in the description. Finally, we know what space is and what state it is in. And there are 3 ways we can take it. But knowing how to take space and knowing when to take it are 2 different things. So before I commit to anything, I ask myself 2 important questions. The first question is, how are they taking the space? Let's analyze it from a live round. Barrier drops and utility hits the chalk immediately. This is an aggressive team, they won this round instantly. The second is barrier drops and nothing happens. I can walk into position freely. There are no footsteps and there is no utility at all. They are playing passive. The third one, barriers drops and there is 1 skydog. There are no footsteps and there is no utility dump. It's just a prob. They're playing balanced. You have to know how they're playing because these 3 have completely different answers. Treat an aggressive team like a passive team and you walk into their utility every round. And then you tell yourself your team is bad. The way I read the enemy is by watching the first rounds and then watching the current round. There are 3 tells that work in almost every situation. Tell 1 is when first contact happens. If contact happens before 10 seconds, they're playing aggressive. If nothing happens until 15 or 20, they're playing passive. If contact happens somewhere in between and the probe first, they're balanced. Tell 2 is where the first utility lands. If it lands on the chalk itself, they won the ground instantly. If it lands behind the chalk, they're building a retake. If there is no utility at all in the first 20 seconds, they're just defaulting. Tell 3 is what are they doing after they lose the first duel. If they lose and keep coming, that is an aggressive team. If they lose and go quiet, they never were committed. And listen more than you look, because footsteps in a neutral area at 8 seconds is an aggressive team telling you their plan for the whole half. And they're telling you for free. The second question is whose ability are better for this ground in this moment. This is not about who has the better team, it is about one thing only. For this exact piece of ground, right now, who has the better abilities. If their abilities are worse and you can counter their setup, that is your green light, you can go and take that ground. If their abilities are equal, both teams can contest the ground with similar tools, that is a 50-50, and a 50-50 is not a plan. If their abilities are better, we cannot safely counter the way they're taking it. Fighting on that is bad for us, so we do not fight it. Here is a real example. Let's come back to A main on Lotus. The defenders have a smoke on the entrance, a raid nade and a fade seize, all 3 in the same area. Our side has nothing that clears any of it. We don't have breach, we do not have an omen that can TP rubble, so the answer is easy. Their tools are better than ours here. We do not take this space, we can try to retake it later. Now flip it around. If we have fade and raids and breach ourselves, then we are better. Because our tools are not better, we can flash, we can raise nade and take that ground as it was meant to be ours. So let's get a little bit deeper into when to take, retake or trade the space. You take the space when your utility for the area is better than theirs, or when they're heavily passive. I also want to give you a tip for when you're holding the ground after you took it. It is something I abuse myself, and it's called high-low. The front player crouches, the player behind stays standing. Both of them watch the same angle. When the enemy picks, he has to choose which one of you shoot first, exactly like in the double pick. Usually he will not get more than 1 kill. The second is retake. You retake when they are aggressive and their tools are equal or better. If a team is dumping 3 ultimates and heavy utility to clear A lobby on Heaven, do not die for that space. Their tools are better than yours right there, right now. Do not be scared though to give it up. Stay alive and play a coordinated retake of the space 15 seconds after that. They are not gonna have any util to contrast you. The third one is trade. You trade when they're heavily aggressive with equal or better tools, but only on one side of the map. They take A, we take B. Instead of just falling back and taking the loss, you punish them on the other side. So if they're committing everything to execute C side on Lotus, you push A main. You plant and you push their spawn. You traded one part of the map for the other, and it's actually better for you. Everything we have talked so far works both on attack and on defense. It does not matter which one you're playing, but defense has an extra thing, and that thing is called layers. There are 3 of them, and the third one is probably losing you the rounds right now. Layers are simple. They describe how much of the map control you have as a defender. The first layer is deep control. You push past the neutral zones the moment the barrier drops. Why do you do that? Because you get the information fast. You instantly know that they are hitting somewhere else. Your team can over-rotate and punish them before they even set it up. It's similar to having a pivot point. You have to use layer 1 against slow attackers, the one who likes to default and wait. It looks great when it works, but keep in mind that it is terrible against fast pace. It's kinda bad. You're betting that the attackers are slow, but even so, it's still better than playing the third layer. Also keep in mind that you do not only get layer 1 at the start of the round, you can get there later. The second layer is normal map control. You hold the enemy primary choke points from a safe distance. You're not pushing out, but you're not also hiding inside. It is the most reliable layer. It is what you want with a man advantage or with a round lead when you just need to close the half cleanly. When you're ahead, you do not need to be clever. And it is excellent against fast pace. From the distance, it's easy to throw a molly or a smoke, and shut down the rush and stall for your team. You get the information the second they commit. If you do not know which layer to pick because it's too complicated, pick this one. The third and last is layer 3, which is playing for a site. You sit in the back of the site and play off contact. You get zero information. Layer 3 is strictly situational. Under about 20 seconds on the clock, that is when the information doesn't matter anymore, so surviving and delaying is more important. You play layer 3 to deny the plant and let the clone win the round. Here is the golden rule. Never start a round planning to play layer 3 across the whole map. Do that and you have given up all of the map control. You will have no idea where they are until they are actually gonna be on top of you. At Radiant, you almost never see a full layer 3 setup before the last 20 seconds. And it is not because layer 3 is weak. It is because every player at that level knows exactly what it costs. Let's recap it all. 1. Space is information. Taking ground is just how you get that information. 2. Name the state of the ground before you move. 3. There are 3 ways to take the ground: your body, your abilities, and your presence. Presence is the cheap one. 4. Ask 2 questions: how are they taking it and whose tools are better. 5. You can take, retake, or trade. Give ground, but never give your life. 6. Play layer 2 unless you have reasons not to. Play layer 3 only when there is so little time left that the information cannot help you anyway. Don't try to implement all of this at once. Try to first understand it and then apply one thing after the other. Believe me, after a little bit of time, you're gonna be able to manipulate the enemies as you like. The next video is the other half of this one. It is about how to win the duel once you have taken the ground. I will cover picking, isolation, and the positions that make the fight unfair before it even starts. If this helps, subscribe so the next one reaches you. And if you're done grinding without progress and you want a program built around your own gameplay, the link is in the description. Fill the form, send a ranked VOD and book the call. We will have watched the VOD before we even talk. Spots are limited, so if it's open, take it.